It's an iconic river. It runs right through the middle of Pembrokeshire. It's arguably Pembrokeshire's jewel in the crown. And I think it needs to be, well, we all think and should think, it needs to be dragged back into the limelight and looked after, respected and taken care of.
As most people know, the CLEDDAU is tidal. It's got a range of more than 7.5 metres, which is quite a lot. When I walk out into places where I can see the river and it's in full flood, it has an incredible power. At the same time, when it recedes completely and you're left with a network of these tiny little rivers that exist in the basement, it's just a different mood.
Maybe if the ordinary people now can see what's going on and realise what's happening, what's happened, if ever the groundswell gets there now, maybe that'll move the tide to look after things a bit better. It's been ignored for too long. Favourite time, be out here at night, this time of year, out here fishing, dead quiet, pursued meteor showers coming through now, skies lit up, otters swimming around you, and the smell's coming down. You'll get wafts of honeysuckle, bits and pieces, different things. It's just magical, isn't it? Alan Lewis, born and bred in Langham, been on this river since I was a kid. On it, in it, under it, round it, so it's probably part of me, really. My family were, say, from Langham, so they were fishermen years ago. So they were, well, in your good old days, you couldn't grow it in the garden or catch it out here, then you starved. So this was food.
My name is Nancy. I live on the CLEDDAU estuary, just down from Haverfordwest, outside Hook. And I'm one of the founder members of the CLEDDAU project, which is a volunteer organisation which was set up probably in spring 2023, when it became clear that the river is ailing and nobody seemed to be doing anything about it. It's deteriorating, and we know this from recent reports. And it has been designated the worst of the protected rivers in Wales, of which there are 9, and that includes the marine section, which is also a special area of conservation. And I think so the real motivation was, let's set up a river organisation, be the voice of the CLEDDAU and try and make a difference. We were immediately catapulted into the spotlight, as it were, by exposing a local firm for a serious pollution transgression. So although that was a terrible thing, it was actually very helpful and got us out there and doing something and getting a taste of calling polluters to account. The other positive that came out of it was that the company invested a lot of money in correcting the problem, and we are now partnering with them in doing various water testing, soil testing and other activities.
To understand the trade that came out the river, you have to understand a little bit about the name, Haverfordwest. Heiferford, the place where they crossed the cattle. The CLEDDAU, meaning 2 swords, plunges right through the middle of Pembrokeshire. It separates Pembrokeshire into 2-3 parts. But here on this river, this was the point where you could ford, you could cross with stock. So for farmers, for the agricultural industry, as it grew in importance, this became the place where you would all converge, where markets were had, and where trade was then shipped from here out of Pembrokeshire to London and beyond. For people to really understand Haverfordwest's importance, you have to come here and you have to really work hard to imagine what that was like. But Haverfordwest was a powerhouse of a port. It's over 500, 600, 700 years. Haverfordwest became the reason that Pembrokeshire was the county that it was. It was the economic engine of this entire county and beyond. So for me, it's a very, very special place. And though the economic gravity has slipped down the river towards a bigger port, that importance is still here. And part of our psychogeography in Pembrokeshire puts Haverfordwest firmly at the centre of everything that we are. In Loreni, we were a boat building community. We were a point where coal and limestone were transported from one barge to another. We were a place where people were fishing. We were all those things, and that's what created our community. And you could say the same in slightly different terms all the way along. The communities all have a different character. If you allow them to rediscover their place and purpose alongside the river, make sure those communities can be can feel reconnected to the river. People who live on the communities alongside the river need to once again use it for purposes of recreation, for purposes of transport, and for purposes of trade. We have seen it happen downriver, and we think nothing more of it. Upriver, put in context for what is appropriate for upriver, make it really useful for all those reasons, and it becomes a living, working river again, and that magic will return.
Yeah, I'm also one of the last 6 compass netsmen on the CLEDDAU. 6 of us left. Used to be probably 40, 50, 60 years ago. Bit by bit, licenses come in, cut license, cut the season. So 6 of us left now. I've got the only wooden working Langham boat left. I've probably got the oldest wooden working boat in Wales, if not the country. It's probably 150 years old. I got pictures of my dad in the boat as a 2-year-old, and he died last year at 92. And he said the boat was very old when he was a kid. And my grandfather actually died in the boat fishing in 1966. They found him dead in the bottom of the boat in the morning.
We've been running a citizen science project, an ambitious one, which has involved over 90 volunteers who have been water testing over a 12-month period, twice a month, every other Sunday. 90 volunteers have been going out to 49 different sites across the CLEDDAU catchment, testing the water against about 7 measurements, so nitrates, phosphates, ammonia, and a few other things. And we hope, more funding pending, to reach all of the Pembrokeshire primary schools over the next couple of years. Now, that project was called My River, and it seems to, unless we tell children about their river, and we are talking about their part of the river, they're not going to know about it. And we've engaged probably 1,200 children so far, some of whom are lucky enough to have access to the river, but many of whom aren't. And they are the future custodians of this great waterway. So unless they know what it is and why it's important, there's no hope for the future of the river. But it's been a really rewarding part of the project, and we think it's really, really important.
A big business needs to be taken to a task and cleaned. You look down there now, look at the scum, there's hardly any weed, the river's dead. It should have been sorted years ago. There's enough crap gets flushed into the air every day, and they've done it with impunity for too long now. I don't know why, but look at it. When I was a youngster, those would be clean pebbles and clean stones, but now there's just a layer of scum on it. Look, there's nothing, you can't have a life.
Our regulators, Natural Resources Wales, have to push this river way up its agenda. I mean, 16% of Pembrokeshire's economy is in tourism, and this river surely is an intrinsic part of that. It's a long game. I mean, nothing is going to change overnight or even in the next year, but what we'd really love to see is some incremental change in maybe 3 years. And you don't have to have a huge improvement to see the positive impacts on the ecology of the river. It's been such a rewarding journey so far. I think, like all of these things, it's the people that become very, very important. And the number of experts in the field of ecology, water, marine environment, science, soil, and so many things has been really very surprising. And we've obviously been able to draw on all that expertise to enhance our understanding of what's going on in this river. Because the other thing I've learned is how complicated it is. And we all fall back on nitrates, phosphates, and sewage. But actually, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Every minute it changes. Tides either coming in and coming out, getting stronger, easing off, winds picking up, winds easing down, sun, cloud, shine, winds different directions. It's never the same, more than 2 minutes.
Well, none of what we've found, which has not always been good, has impacted my personal enjoyment of the river. I swim in it most days in the summer, and it is absolutely delightful to be bobbing around in the CLEDDAU in the estuary section outside Hook, looking at the swallows and the shelduck and at the moment the curlew, and it is a really magical place to be. The CLEDDAU has multiple characters. It looks different every minute of every day. And when I sometimes think of it in the winter, when the wind and the tide are clashing against each other, we have a surge and the tide goes straight into the fields. It can look so angry and menacing and terrifying. And then on a beautiful evening like last evening, it's like a mill pond. You can see every single movement on the river, the fish and everything else. It just looks like the most benign, friendly, gorgeous thing.
The town clerk and the deputy town clerk who have worked very hard to get this organisation done. Thank you.
And once you bring it to life with some of the history and some of the current stuff that's happening here, that converted audience you've brought along become new evangelists for making sure that the rivers are treated right, that the rivers are given their purpose back again. So really, a festival is that crunch point where you can bring that magic to as many people as possible, and they will be your champions in the years to follow. The logical thing to say after there's an accident is, this is a danger, stay away. Me, I say, go towards it, learn about it, understand it, and pass your understanding on to the future generations, because as long as we ignore this river, there will be dangers. The more we know about it, the more those dangers will go away.
And all entrusted with civic authority. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer.
Bring people here, give them an experience alongside the river, help them rub shoulders with people who have this extraordinary knowledge, who can take them out and explain to them what it is, what it has been, and you open up a whole new audience of people. A river festival is good for that.
Feet forward.
And it seems really timely to have a celebration of this river, to bring people into Haverfordwest, which is the county town. It's got beautiful assets, the architecture, the river, all sorts of things. And if we can bring people in, the River Festival is a fantastic opportunity to shine a light on a really important asset in Haverfordwest. So I'd love to think that my children, and certainly their children, will see the river that the older residents of Pembrokeshire remember from not so long ago, when they were fishing for salmon and bass and catching them in this river. So I feel optimistic, but it is a long game. But I think if the CLEDDAU had a voice, it would say, don't give up on me now, keep going. So that's what we've got to do, because the alternative is to do nothing, and that's not an option.